Hey everyone, I'm here in Bessie, Oklahoma, and it's a pretty small little town. It's the kind of town where you see little farm trucks out in a field, and it's kind of just sort of a little farm community. But I kind of wanted to just share this little town with you and tell its story a little bit. This is the local fire department and the town hall here. You can see this is the old downtown section part of Bessie, Oklahoma. It's one of those ones in Oklahoma that's real small. It's mainly a farming community. You can see the old co-op there, and it still is in existence there. Post office there. There's not much to this downtown. And but on January 24th, 1928, about the same time of day as it is right now, something significant happened. At approximately 11 a.m., two men entered this town and entered what used to be a bank building standing right here. Their names were Frank Simpson and Fletcher Rickard. They immediately ordered Georgia Stair and Ben Kiehn to lie down on the floor. There was also a customer in here by the name of Henry Dick. After they cleared the money, they then ordered the three people to go into the bank vault. The idea of it was to lock them in the vault, and then they could make their clean getaway and no one could call the police or anybody to help. What they did not know about this bank is that this vault was equipped with a safety mechanism to keep the vault door from closing. So Ben Kiehn immediately grabbed a revolver that was sitting in the bank vault for such emergencies as this. He then started firing back at the bank robbers, and a gunfight ensued. At that time, the bank robbers started firing back at Ben, and one of the bullets glanced off of the iron door and hit Ben in the left cheek. It immediately killed him, but one of the things that happened was the robbers then made their way out of the bank and into a getaway car that probably would have been about right in through here. One robber got in the car right away, and the other stumbled out there because Ben actually shot him in the gut, and he was badly wounded but climbed into the back seat of the automobile, and they made their getaway. After the gunshots slowed, Mrs. Stair immediately got on the telephone to notify the sheriff. Henry Dick, the customer inside the bank, ran out into the downtown here to yell for help. People immediately started rushing into the bank, and then that's when they noticed that Ben was lying there in the vault, dead. The revolver was still clutched into his hand, and it was completely empty. They immediately rounded up sort of a posse to go on the hunt for these people that killed Ben. There's a mural on the side of this building right here, and it's a painted picture of an actual picture that is from many years before. But this right here is the old bank building. This building right here still stands. But you can see the old bank building right there. And this is where that bank robbery would have taken place. Now the robbers made away with a little over $800, which doesn't sound like much by today's standards, but in that time it would have been a really pretty big haul. So that is actually where we're at. Now that bank has since disappeared or been torn down, and I'm not sure on the reason why, but we're standing in the location of what we would be inside that bank building right now. And just to show you kind of some of the other stuff here, This is an old school bell that's from Bessie. It's the Bessie school bell right there. And so they kind of have this memorial here where they've had bricks that were sponsored by different people in the town, or families, or alumni, people that are from here. It's quite a few bricks. But you can see that this was erected in memory of Ben Kiehn, who on January 24th, 1928, gave his life on this spot to defend the trust of this community. Now, Ben was a well-liked figure in this community. He was a veteran, served in World War I, and rose to the rank of lieutenant. So everybody in this town loved him. They loved visiting with him. They respected him. They went to him for advice and things like that. And he was an active member of the community as far as with the American Legion and different things, getting stuff started in this town. And one of the things that was going on at the time of the robbery was to convert this building right here into an auditorium and a gym. And just a few days after the bank robbery, it was supposed to be dedicated, and Ben was supposed to be the keynote speaker. Let's take a look inside this gym right here. It's pretty cool because you can actually see the old, if you can see through there and there's not a shadow. The truck going by there. But you can see the old basketball court there. You can see the auditorium up there, and there's a wood floor. And the wood floor is really old, but you can see a basketball goal over there. But that is the auditorium that was supposed to be dedicated just a few days later. But unfortunately, the first event that happened in this building was actually the memorial service and funeral of Ben Kiehn. So one of the neat things about this is it's a neat little downtown here, and not much is left down here, but they have this memorial to the school. And you saw on the side of this that there was a memorial to Ben. But over here, there's actually another memorial. This memorial here sits directly across the street from that right there, which was where the bank was, and you can see the mural on the side of that school there. This memorial was erected by the Oklahoma State Bankers Association, and it's kind of one of the kind. This had never been done before, but they did this in honor of Ben. And you can see where it says that he was a lieutenant in the Company A 142nd Infantry. But it's a neat memorial, and I think these people in this house right there maintain it, so it has all sorts of flowers and it's well cared for. It says, erected by the Oklahoma State Bankers Association as an expression of their regard for their fellow member as a man of honor and integrity. On January 24th, 1928, he gave his life to the cause of law and order in defending that which was entrusted to his care against armed bandits. And you can see, this is all granite there. And it's pretty tall. It's a big memorial in a small town. And this is a tribute from the Cordell Lodge in memory of the late senior warden Benjamin Kiehn. We will miss his presence and his counsel in our labors. Like I said, he was an active member of many things in this town. And over here on this side, the sun may be kind of blocking it. See if we can get right here where you can see better and it adjusts. But it basically says, the people of Bessie and the community are proud to honor the memory of their fellow citizen. Thought this is pretty interesting. This is a time capsule that was placed here in 2003 by the Bessie alumni. And it's, I guess, the 100th anniversary. But they're not supposed to open it until 2038. So it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure if that'll make any kind of big news since this is a small town, but it's interesting to see what they might have placed in that. And then what they might open 35 years later, just to see what was important to this town. And this is lying right in front of the old bank building there. You can see here that they have placed that this town was established in 1903. And that is the, looks like Bessie Baptist Mission up there. There's a Bessie train station there. And another church right up there. I actually think that that is a church that's right to the east of this town before you come into this town. I think it's Peace Lutheran Church. There, you can see it out there on the highway with the cemetery in front. And this is a tribute to the Frisco Railroad that came through. That railroad still comes through here. And like I said, this was a farming community with lots of wheat and corn and things like that, so you'll see the grain elevators that are there. And there's actually a depiction of those grains right there. Like I said, just a simple farming community that you see here. Over here, you can actually see a picture of the Bessie School there. And there's some kids out there on the teeter-totter, and looks like they're playing maybe ring around the rosy or something there. I'm not sure. This mural is pretty good size, and it's pretty awesome to see. You can see down there on the bottom it was painted in 2007. There's a tribute to the Bessie Fire Department there. And then up here, this is what I find really interesting. This is the downtown that we were just in. Well, we're still in it, but I mean, as I was walking down the main street there, you can see a little bit of a picture of what it used to look like, where it says Minnows Market, or Minnows Market, I guess, and Fisk Hardware. I'm sure that's probably an old picture that you could Google and look up as well. But if you get a chance and you're driving through here and you want to see this, it's definitely worth the stop, I think. I love visiting these old towns and just seeing what they have to see. Thought I'd show you this. This is the Bessie Baptist Mission, and this was what was on the side of the mural there. Now, after the robbery of the town, people started gathering up a posse to go after these two bandits that robbed and killed their beloved hero of the town. Radio stations started airing things in Clinton about to be on the lookout for these two individuals. They even dispatched an airplane to help look. But one of the things that happened later that night is an old farmer named Buster Peck had a stranger come up to his door. This stranger said that there's a guy that needs some medical attention, and he's laying kind of out in this little ravine type thing. So Buster followed the stranger to the area where this man was laying. And almost to the spot where they get up to him, the stranger disappears into the darkness. And so Mr. Peck goes up to this stranger, and he can immediately see that this man is wounded and he still has a weapon with him. So he runs back to his house and calls the sheriff. Fletcher Rickard was the man that was lying in the little ravine, and when they took him to the hospital, he was in and out of consciousness, but he told the authorities that his accomplice was the one that shot Ben, and that accomplice was Jack Brown. What they later found out is that his name was actually Frank Simpson, and that Fletcher had told him that name just to throw them off the trail of his partner and bank robber. They later found the vehicle in Elk City, and there was of course blood along the back seat. They discovered that this vehicle was actually stolen in Oklahoma City. I am now at the Herald Mennonite Church. This church's congregation was established in 1899. They then built this structure right here, this church, in 1915. This church was where Ben was a member. He attended this church, and this church is located a couple miles east of the town of Bessie, and then about a half a mile south. And this graveyard right here is where Ben is buried. This is the final resting place of Ben Kiehn, born in 1889 and died of a gunshot wound to the head right under the left eye in 1928. Ben was a veteran of the Mexican-American War, where he fought against Poncho Villa, and then World War I, where he rose to the rank of lieutenant. And he was a hero before the incident that took his life with the bank robbery. Like I said, the Oklahoma State Bankers Association raised a bunch of money and erected that monument, and it's about 16 foot tall, and it still stands, you know, years and years later. I mean, it was erected not too long after he was shot and killed, and I don't know if there's another thing in the state actually where they've done something like that. For sure they never did it before, but I don't think they've done something like that since. But he's resting beside his wife Catherine, who died in 1970. And just on the other side of Ben, right here, are his parents, which is Johan and Helena. And then right in front of them, this is Ben's brother, who died in 1899 and was born in 1883. I just noticed this in front of Ben's headstone here. There's a marker there that says U.S. Veteran. It's actually kind of on the back side of it, because here is the back side of his headstone. But there's nothing marking on either side that he's a veteran. There is a little symbol at the top saying that he's a Mason. But anyways, I thought that his story was interesting. And as you pass by the area on the highway, you'll see a sign that says that there's a monument for him. So of course, I had to look up the story and see what all went on with him as far as why there was a monument. So that was a small town story, but big time news for this small town. And thank you for joining me. Love this church. It's so tall. I don't know if it's got 2 floors or just a really tall sanctuary in it, but it's got those old-timey stained glass windows in there. I love the look of this. You can tell they've added on to that part over there. It's newer, but this thing is so tall. Very interesting looking.